The Beach FM Business Lunch Show, brought to you by PlaceMakers Kapiti Horowhenua. Together we're building New Zealand.
Welcome back to the Business Lunch Show on Beach FM 106.3 with Damian on your Wednesday afternoon. And let's talk marketing and events now. And let's welcome into the show from Pom Pom Events and Marketing at Charlotte Tollervey. G'day, Charlotte. How are we doing at this time?
Yeah, no, we're really good, thank you. Yeah, interesting times, but so far everything's going pretty well for us at Pom Pom. So we're feeling we're feeling excited about the future still, and we're also feeling positive about some of the changes and things that have come about.
Absolutely. Now, it is, as you said, it's an interesting time where someone in your organization, industry, will be looking things a bit differently. But first and foremost, what we like to do on the show is just get the story. How long you've been in the industry? How long have you had your own firm? And what you've seen over your time in the industry?
Sure. So originally I started my career in the UK. So I was really fortunate to work for an awesome company there called Leno, who are a pretty well-established exhibitions and events delivery arm, working with some really cool clients. So we worked with a lot of fashion clients and a lot of oil and gas. And I was with them for 6 years. Like I said, that was kind of where I started my career and my journey within events. And it was really exciting times. I got to travel a lot. Didn't get to see much other than the exhibition halls and the hotel rooms, but it was still great. Some incredible exhibitions, huge scale exhibitions. So really enjoyed that, and that kind of gave me the taste for events, I guess. When I moved to New Zealand, kind of diversified a little bit within the event space, but stayed within it, sort of managing the events for Gallagher's. Right. And then more worked in a sort of comms and events capacity for a number of not-for-profits since then, either an employed or sort of contracting capacity. Staying within that same space, like I said, but just kind of diversified maybe out of exhibitions and more into sort of general events or corporate events, fundraising, those type of things. So it's been an exciting journey for me, and it's meant that I've had a lot of variety, which is great because that works well for my personality, because I like new challenges and I like to do new things. I partnered with my current business partner, Natalie, 3 years ago. So Pom Pom's been in existence for just over 3 years now. And she's based in the Bay of Plenty, and I'm obviously based here in Kapiti, which works well because we're able to sort of cover the North Island fairly comfortably then with regards to travelling for the live events and things. And her background, again, is also within sort of that comms and event space. She's also worked in the UK, primarily in sort of hospitality and tourism. Awesome. So she's got a strong tourism focus. But, we partnered, like I said, just over 3 years ago. And we've been enjoying getting to work with a lot of not-for-profits. That's kind of our passion and the reason that we started the business originally, so that we could give back and do a little bit more within our communities. So we've been really fortunate to work for a number of not-for-profits.
Amazing. Hey, you mentioned that you've worked with some big names, which they do spend on their events. Let's be honest. How did you go from that, I guess, kind of comfort of doing that for them to go out and do it for yourself?
Sure. There's no comparison really between sort of how my career began, I suppose, and what I'm doing now. They're extremely different. Like you said, we worked for some really big names of fashion companies and oil and gas companies with big budgets to spend on their exhibitions. The stands would be 2 or sometimes even 3 stories tall. They would take days to build, 5 or 6 days. We would be in there completing the build. Everything, a lot of the time, was manufactured from scratch in a workshop, bespoke for the event. Huge scale exhibitions. But obviously, ultimately, and without trying to sound too corny, it's all very corporate, and it's all about sort of engaging the consumers, and it's all about encouraging spend and all of that kind of thing. And I think as I got to a certain point in my life, and obviously my business partner got to a similar point at a similar time, and we both kind of wanted to use the skills that we had gained to actually have more of a positive impact. so that what we were doing actually, managed to help or support others. So, like I said, we've been able to work with some really cool not-for-profits since. We've done some things for Sanctuary Mountain, who are a reserve similar to Zealandia back in the Waikato. We've also been really blessed to do things for the Cancer Society. Here in Kapiti, we're doing things for Work Ready, which are an awesome not-for-profit that support 15 to 24-year-olds getting ready for work, which is great. And we've also done a fair bit as well, like within the business community. So back in the Waikato and also in the Bay of Plenty and here in Kapiti, working with the Chamber and also on business awards. It's great to see all those local businesses, recognised and getting to tell their stories and getting the recognition that they deserve. So, getting to work on the Electra Business Innovation Awards is also super exciting. So I think for us, it's not as easy. We don't have the same budgets. We don't have, the same resources at hand, but the outcomes far outweigh the challenges, perhaps, let's say, that we're faced with when we're working within the sort of not-for-profit sector, with the tighter budgets and that kind of thing.
I also love telling people business stories as well. That's what I... You talked about those skills that you had acquired throughout your career, and then you took it to your own Pom Pom Events Marketing. But what were some of those things that you just didn't know and you had to learn real quick in having your own business?
I think probably it was actually what I would think maybe the boring things, but kind of, the admin around running a business, which I had no experience with, just in terms of profit and loss and forecasting and tracking hours and doing accounts and reconciliations and GST and all that kind of stuff that I hadn't, had to deal with previously. Obviously, I'd worked with budgeting before for clients and things, but in a different kind of space. So I think for me, that was the steepest learning curve. And also, I think just that sort of shift that previously I'd had the ability to just focus on that project, So if I was working for a client, that was my focus in an employed capacity, working for them. And then obviously moving into Pom Pom, you're doing your work for your client, but there's still a whole myriad of things that you've got to do for the business as well, So you don't just have to work in the business, you kind of have to work on the business as well. So I think just sort of managing those extra pieces that go with owning your own business.
Yeah. COVID-19 has stopped a lot of people in their tracks, and especially people that work with people on a day-to-day basis, planning big events where we can't have more than groups of 10. It's a crazy time. So tell me, obviously I can ask the simple thing of how did it affect you guys, but how did you kind of embrace it and pivot your business to continue to keep going?
I actually, I feel fairly positive, like I touched on at the beginning, with regards to COVID. Obviously, it's had a devastating effect on many businesses, and probably will continue to do so. But I've also seen some really sort of innovative things that businesses have done, to get through this time. Some really cool stories, I think, are out there to be told about local businesses and the things that they've done, the pivoting, like you said, that they've done to sort of bring them through this time. So I think there's also some really cool positive stuff to focus on out of this. For us as a business, obviously, we have an events business, so I would be lying if I said that we hadn't had an impact. We weren't able to deliver a very large event that we normally deliver in the Bay of Plenty called for the Tech Awards, which is a community awards event. So that was probably the biggest one that got hit early on. We were fortunate that we had just delivered 2 large events prior to lockdown. One was a Takate Kapiti Summit organised by the council, and the other one was the International Women's Day, the Chamber event. So both really great, successful events that happened just prior to lockdown, which, was a real blessing. But, I think for us, we just try to think outside of the box. We try to get innovative for our clients, so for those that were able to still deliver something, how that could be delivered. We've seen that with the Chamber, obviously running the Coming to Your Front Room webinar series. So that's been a weekly series that the Chamber and the Council have partnered together to provide. So we've been fortunate to be involved in the delivery of that each week, and we've seen some awesome speakers. And it's great that we've still been able to, the Chamber has still been able to provide something for the business community, even in a time where physical events weren't possible. And the same with the Electra Business and Innovation Awards. They've had to pivot. They've had to adjust how they're going to run their awards this year. I think it's really important that they're still present, that they don't go missing during a year that businesses, are experiencing challenges. And I think it's great that they're still continuing to run the awards so that, those businesses that have been innovative, that have kind of pivoted, can get the recognition that they deserve for, and even just for, recognizing them for surviving, really, what's been a really challenging time. So, obviously they, with the Electra Business Innovation Awards, they have we had to do the launch online this year. Yeah. So utilizing, our other channels or other platforms, and we're running the workshops this week, and we're running next week, and we're running them all online. So we hope to get back, obviously, to physical events soon. Like I said, I do feel fairly positive about it. I think New Zealand have handled it extremely well. Obviously, I'm English, and I'm certainly glad to be in New Zealand at the moment. So I think that, like I said, we feel at Pom Pom, we feel pretty positive. We feel that a lot of our clients were able to pivot and adjust their offering in a way that still met people's needs, but utilized online platforms. So, I also think there's been some great lessons learned for businesses throughout this in terms of wider lessons. I think a lot of businesses maybe have had their eyes open to the fact that productivity is actually probably increased with people working from home, as an example. And also, they've probably also been exposed to a lot of other ways of working that maybe will have some efficiencies for them moving forward, such as different online platforms and apps and that kind of thing. So I think there's probably been some good lessons learned as well.
With confidence in uncertain times, less money coming in, more, bills are still there to be paid. How do you see the industry continuing to grow and go forward from this time?
I mean, in terms of the events industry, I think that obviously a lot of it is still being maintained online, because although the gatherings obviously have been increased now to up to 100, it's very much, I think, still the fact that people are hesitant in their decision-making now around attending live events. So I think that we're going to see some hesitancy, not just in consumerism, but also in the event space and attending these kind of live events. I think people are questioning the need to attend or the need to go, because of, perceived risks and things. Although I feel like venues all around the world, in fact, have, again, pivoted to adjust their offering. A lot of them are offering, virtual tours so that you can still book your events online. But, you can still book the venue, but look at it online rather than go and do the usual kind of walkthrough. There's a lot more happening in the VR space. And also there's a lot happening with hybrid events too. So where you've kind of got a bit of a mix, maybe you've got a number of people that are physically present at the event, but then it's being streamed, for example, online, so to a wider audience. So I think that in the event space, there's going to still be a bit of hesitancy over the next couple of months around attending live events. And I think that people will start with smaller events, and that confidence will grow and that will return, and then the larger events will come back. But in the meantime, like I said, there's a lot of other options in terms of the platforms that are available online, and also in terms of those kind of hybrid events that I talked about that are kind of doing a little bit of both and meeting in the middle.
Charlotte, I won't take up too much more of your time, but lastly, where can the people find you? How can they reach out if they've got any questions?
Yeah, sure. Of course. I mean, obviously, we've got our website, which is www.pompom.co.nz. We've got a Facebook page that people can check out. We've got, obviously, LinkedIn profiles for ourselves and also for the business. So people are welcome to reach out to us through any of those platforms. We'd love to hear from them. and support them in any way that we can.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Go well over this next new normal, and we'll catch up hopefully sooner than later, and see how we are changing as we move through levels.
Lovely. Thanks for your time.